Hello everyone, I am Chaitra Shetty, studying in first year MCom from Manjunath Pai Memorial Government First Grade College, Karkala. Now I am going to give a short presentation on topic span of management or control. Introduction. Span of management is a concept under organization. Span of management is the number of staff members that report directly to a single manager or superior. A French management consultant, V.A. Grequinus, introduced a theory on span of management which explains three kinds of relationship that a superior can have with subordinates. Span of management is a concept under organization. It is very important to understand span of management and organization structure while studying organization. The purpose of organizing is to make human cooperation effective. The reason for levels of organization is the limitations of the span of management. Organization levels exist because there is a limit for span of management. What is span of management? The term span of management is also known as span of control, span of supervision, and span of authority. It represents a numerical limit of subordinates to be supervised and controlled by a manager. It is an important principle of sound organization. Span of management refers to a possible number of subordinates a superior can manage or supervise effectively. A sound organization depends upon the effective performance or work done by the executive, so the executive should neither be overloaded nor be idle. Importance. Determination of an appropriate span of management is important for two reasons. First, span of management affects the efficient utilization of managers and effective performance of their subordinates. Second, there is a relationship between span of management and organization structure. Determination of a proper span of management is important for two reasons. First, span of management affects the efficient utilization of managers and effective performance of their subordinates. Too wide span may mean that managers are overstraining themselves and their subordinates are receiving too little guidance or control. Too narrow span may mean that the managers are underutilized and their subordinates are over control. The second reason is there is a relationship between span of management and organization structure. Wide span may lead to flat organization structure and narrow span lead to tall organization structure. I will explain that concept later with the help of chart. Choosing the span. In every organization, it must be decided how many subordinates a superior can manage. Students management found that this number is usually 4 to 8 subordinates at the upper levels of organization and 8 to 15 or more at the lower levels. It is to be noted that span of management cannot be uniform throughout the organization. In every organization, it must be decided how many subordinates a superior can manage. There is a limit for span of management. The prominent British consultant Lyndall Urby found the ideal number of subordinates for all superior authorities is to be 4, and while at the lower levels of organization, responsibility is delegated for the performance of specific tasks and not for the supervision of others, is maybe 8 to 12. And the span of management is not uniform throughout the organization. It varies from time to time, from place to place, and from one organization to another organization. Organization structure. There are two types of organization structure in span of management. Wide span, it results to flat organization structure, and narrow span results to tall organization structure. Wide span of management. When the span of supervision is wider, number of executives need to supervise the workers will be less. This will make the organization structure wide. Such a structure would be less expensive because of less overhead cost of supervision. Since the number of levels is less, there will be better communication between the worker and the manager. However, the quality of performance is likely to deteriorate because one executive cannot effectively supervise a large number of subordinates, will not be able to devote sufficient time in directing each and every subordinate. Wide span of organization structure refers to here a single manager or superior can oversee or can supervise large number of subordinates. When the span of supervision is wider, number of executive needed to supervise the workers will be less. For example, if in an organization there are 50 workers are there, a single manager can manage 10 workers. So how many workers are needed? How many managers are needed to manage these 50 workers? Five managers are needed to manage these 50 workers. So managers needed in this wide span of management will be less. Such structure is less expensive because of less overhead cost for cost of supervision. Since the number of levels is less, there will be better communication between the workers and the management. Wide span of management chart. Here you can see there are three levels in wide span of management. In the first level, there will be chief executive and next managers and next workers. Chief executive gives some tasks to managers and managers assign those tasks to their his workers, his subordinates. So here, manager has to supervise his group of subordinates only. He cannot supervise other group of subordinates. At the same time, these subordinates has to report their work to his their respective managers only. This group of subordinates cannot report their work to other managers, and here managers needed to supervise the workers will be less. Advantages and disadvantage. Advantage: fast and clear communication. As there are only managers and subordinates are there, there will be a fast and clear communication between them. Less managers are required, so remunerations are saved. Here, a manager can manage large number of subordinates, so managers required in the wide span of management will be less, so that remuneration will be saved. Quick decision making. If a subordinates have any doubt about their project, they can take help of their managers and they clarify their doubt. After clarifying their doubts, they can make decisions quickly. Disadvantage: managers will have less time for planning. When managers spend time with their subordinates, they will not get uh, time for the task of planning. It will affect the organization. It is difficult for superior to manage large number of subordinates. Sometimes managers are not capable to manage large number of subordinates. Managers cannot go each and every subordinates and cannot direct each and every subordinate. So it will affect the organization. Quality of performance will deteriorate as managers are not available to their subordinates at 24 into 7, so that their quality of performance will deteriorate. Narrow span of management. The narrow span of supervision will lead to a tall organization structure. Another drawback is that the additional layers of supervisor will complicate communication from the chief executive down to operating employees and back up the line. There will also be a problem of effective coordination of the activities of different persons in the organization because of more levels executives. However, the narrow span of supervision has the benefit of better personal contacts between the supervisors and the subordinates. It facilitates tight control and close supervision. Tall organization structure gives sufficient time to an executive for developing relations with the subordinates. In narrow span of management, here a single manager can manage only few number of subordinates, less number of subordinates. Narrow span of management will lead to a tall organization structure. In narrow span of management, there will be more number of hierarchical levels. The major reason for having a narrow span of management in an organization are more control by top management, more chance for advancement, greater specialization, and close supervision by the superior. Narrow span of management chart. Here you can see there are five levels in this structure, and in the first level there will be chief executive, then first line manager, middle manager, lower manager, and under lower manager there will be workers, and this is a tall hierarchy. Here a lower level manager has to supervise less number of subordinates. Here it is a manager manage only two number of subordinates. So here there are 16 workers are there. To manage these 16 workers, 8 managers are needed. So number of managers needed to manage the workers will be more in case of narrow span of management. Advantage and disadvantage. Advantage: good communication between subordinates and superior. As there are less, in case of narrow span of management, workers will be less, so there will be a good communication between subordinates and workers. Tight control and close supervision. In a narrow span of management, number of subordinates will be less, so manager has to go with tight control and close supervision. As there are less number of workers, they can spend effective time with them. In a narrow span of management, manager has to go with close supervision as there are less number of subordinates are there. So they have to spend effective time with them. Disadvantage: there will be a gap between top and lower levels. Lower levels manager or workers has to communicate with each other. They cannot talk with or communicate with top levels, so there will be a gap between top and lower levels. It is more expensive because of more levels. Narrow span of management, number of hierarchical levels will be more as compared to wide span, so it is more expensive. It involves higher cost as there are more number of managers. A manager can manage only few number of subordinates, so that managers require will be more in case of narrow span. As a result, organization has to pay more remuneration for the payment of more remuneration for the managers. Factors determining span of management. The principle of the span of management states that there is a number of subordinates a manager can effectively supervise, but the exact number will depend on the impact of several underlying factors. First point is ability of the managers. Individuals differ in various qualities like leadership, decision making, and communication. The span may be wider if the manager possesses these skills in greater degree as compared to others. Some managers are more capable than others and they can manage large number of subordinates. Some managers have a leadership capacity and decision making capacity, good communication skill like that. So they can manage large number of subordinates. At that time, manager can go with wide span of management. In planning and organization, span of management should be based on manager's ability. Time available for supervision. The span should be narrow at the higher levels because top managers have less time available for supervision. They have to devote the major portion of their time to planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. Other than managing subordinates' work, supervisor has to devote major portion of their time for planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. So sometimes superior may not supervise the work done by the subordinates. It may affect the quality of their performance. Nature of work. When the spans are narrowed, the levels in the organization increases. This involves delegation of authority and responsibility. If the work is of a routine and repetitive nature, it can easily delegate it to the subordinates. When the spans are narrowed, levels in the organization increases. If the employees are doing some similar jobs or routine jobs, they will specialize in that area so that managers can delegate authority and responsibility, can easily delegate their authority and responsibility to their subordinates. Fourth point, capacity of subordinates. If the subordinates are skilled, efficient, and knowledgeable, they will require less supervision. In such a case, superior may go in for wider span. If the employees are competent and possess the necessary skill and motivation to perform the task assigned, they does not require more supervision. If they are incompetent, they need close supervision. Degree of decentralization. Under decentralization, the power to make decision is delegated to the lower levels. The span of management will be narrow in such cases so as to exercise more and more control. Under decentralization, superior delegate decision making power to lower levels so that span of management will be narrow. Effectiveness of communication. An effective system of communication in the organization favors large number of levels because there will be no difficulty in transmission of information in spite of a large number of intervening layers. Every plan's instructions or direction has to be communicated from the managers to their workers by personal contact only, so that there will be a good relation between the subordinates and superior. Control mechanism. The span of control also depends upon the control mechanism being followed. Control may be followed either through personal supervision or through reporting. The former favors narrow span and latter favors a wide span. The type of control mechanism followed by superior is determines the span of control. Control may be followed either through personal supervision or through reporting. In between narrow span management and wide span of management, first preference will be given to narrow span and later will be wide span. Conclusion. To sum up, it can be said that an executive should be expected to supervise a reasonable number of subordinates. What is reasonable is depends on a variety of factors like individual difference in executives, number and capacity of subordinates, internal check, availability of time, etc. So, sound management requires a proper balance between supervisory load and organization structure, and proper span of control is considered a necessity for effective coordination. This is all about span of management. Thank you.